Should you back it? Well, another edition, Should You Back? Quick hits, strong opinions on as many crowdfunding projects as I can do in a short amount of time, without too much rambling at the same time. Well, you know me, I like to ramble and rant. Old man yelling at the clouds on his lawn. Let's do this. So first up, we're going to talk about Botany here. We're going in Kickstarter popularity crowdfunding order at this point of when I'm filming this. Botany, intrigue, flowers, moving around, grabbing them, grabbing specimens, bringing them back to your estate, trying to manage your money, trying to resource manage as you move around the board. And you only can move so many spaces each turn. You can only have so many plants in your specimen jars. And so how you mitigate that and what sort of a set collection resource management style game can you actually do? And they're saying it's, high quality. The artwork is fantastic. The theme is fantastic. It's just, I'm not sure why you get it now, except if you want to support the indie publisher. At the $55 price point here, which is the Kickstarter special, I say that's overpriced. At the $39, if you're getting one of these VIPs, that's $16 difference. That's almost a third of the cost difference for an early bird, essentially. That's a lot of difference. And so if you miss out on that, I have to say, that kind of one of those things that plateaus games on crowdfunding in the first place. And this one has been a little bit more plateaued as that's filled up. So take that for what you will. Your mileage may vary. We all have these projects that we like supporting on crowdfunding as indie publishers. This might be yours. If it's not, it's cool too. I don't think it's necessarily doing anything new, dynamically, mechanically speaking, but take that for what you will. Next up, Clank Legacy. This has got way more money than I would have expected, and I guess it just goes to show you that legacy games are really, really, really well supported. No, just kidding. It goes to show you that Clank and Acquisitions Incorporated are really well supported on crowdfunding. The name and the brand recognition right now are just immense, and I think that's what they have to have going for them, because I just can't justify the price of $100 plus shipping at this point, especially when we saw the original go for anywhere between $50 to $75 at retail routinely, or even now. And if you're lucky, $75 is at full price. So you're paying essentially anywhere between $30 to $40 extra, potentially, for foil promos. How important are promos? Well, you've heard me rant about promos in the past. Promos are worthless. You're never going to play with promos, or you're going to play with them so scarcely, especially when you have a deck building situation, that they're going to be utilized so infrequently that ultimately they're just more nice to look at and nice to say that you have as a completionist. That's fine. And if you need that and you want to spend that extra money, again, awesome. I have no problem with that. Do you? But again, I say this, legacy games on crowdfunding, I don't really think legacy games are well suited to be on crowdfunding, because you can't make anything exclusive gameplay content wise, because you're going to screw out because you're really going to mess with the retailer desire. And so that's why, but I think this one's getting a lot of IP brand recognition from both of those things, like I mentioned at the beginning, and that's why it's getting almost all of its money at this point as well. Look, Ninja Sloths, it's not doing anything new, it's not doing anything different, it's unstable unicorns, it's casting shadows in a different light. You know what? If you want that, great. I have no qualms with it, but it's not doing anything dramatically different. It's preying on the FOMO, just like those campaigns did. So if you're buying it to resell it, shame on you. But if you're buying it to play it because you like the theme better than those other ones and you need one like this and you're a party or a light family style game, go for it. But I'd also make the discretionary choice of go pick up one of those other ones first. Because you can go get the base games for some of those, and even some of the expansions, make a deal sort of situation on the retail secondary market, and probably just be as happy or even better, because again, I don't think this is doing anything that much special or different. Half the stuff on here that's exclusive is, stuff that you can easily pass on as well. So I say pass on it as a whole, but I'm not going to discount it if you like that in the first place. Weirdwood Manor, again, this is an absolutely fantastic co-op, but it's a lot harder to get to the table. This is a level of difficulty, a level of learning curve that's going to be a lot higher. So that's just kind of what you need to know. I think the price is probably a little bit much. It kind of reminds me of Beast, that is just being delivered right now, and it's their second crowdfunding campaign coming up later this year with the standee level. The standee level for an indie publisher, you're talking $100 plus shipped. That's expensive. That's really expensive. I don't care who you are. It's just something there. And the deluxe pledge versus the standard pledge, well, the only reason you're going to get is the deluxe pledge. The standard edition isn't going to have that much lacking at retail. And so then you just pick up the standard edition at retail for 3/4 of the price. So you either go deluxe or you go home. And that's okay. This is going to be harder. The mechanisms that you're going to have to know, the time spinning of the roundel room situation really works, but there's going to be a lot more upkeep in terms of keeping track of it and making sure you're where you need to be. I really like the asymmetric of the characters, but at the same time, there's just a lot going on, especially on the enemy phases. And do you like dice-driven combat? Because that was both okay, but it was also very frustrating at the same time, and I can see people being turned off it just from that standpoint alone. So take that for what you will. Now, Teotihuican. I mean, I can't believe this thing has over $500,000, but at the same time, as we've seen with all these reprints that don't need reprints, this is going to get a lot of money because people love their deluxeified euros. And that's okay, but do you really need to buy a game again that you already have just so it's a little bit more pretty? Well, you know, if you don't already have it, well, yeah, sure. If you already have it, well, you need everything to match. I'll also make the argument that fifth player expansion is the main reason you're potentially going to get this. And how many of you people are actually going to play this with a fifth player consistently? I'll guarantee less than 1% of you total. We'll say, you know, not very many of you is what I'm saying. And so that's why I would look at this and say, no, don't get it. No, don't get it whatsoever. Go pick up a retail copy, you know, on the secondary market. Go play it on Board Game Arena instead and make sure you actually like it, and make sure you actually like it that much that you want all the expansions, because it doesn't do you any good if the expansions all match if you never want to play with the expansions, or you only like one of the expansions rather than two of the expansions. Because if you buy them all right now and make sure they match and you never play with one or two of the expansions, well, you've just spent a whole lot more money than if you could get the slightly less aesthetically pleasing version and have everything that you want to play, not a whole bunch of extra stuff sitting around like I may have too, as well, as someone who's bought too many expansions on crowdfunding in the first place. Axe-a-lotl, I don't know why people are backing this. $20,000. Last time I checked, there was no rule book. There's a brief overview description of how you're playing these cards. So I don't know why you're backing this right now if you are. Maybe it's because it's by Tim Buckley. Control, delete. I'll leave it at that. Astronight's Eternity. Again, because Aeon's End basically has oversaturated the market on this style of game and the people that are interested in this style of game. And so I'd say it's kind of falling under the shadow, the umbrella, the penumbra of Aeon's End. And so from that aspect, I think that's really what the fault is. You've just oversaturated it in the first place, and people are kind of sick of it, because I literally just got my last Aeon's End Kickstarter and I said, I'm not really sure if I want this. And I say that as someone who has pretty much everything. And I think this is making some big improvements to the actual game flow and the game design of this. And I'm still saying, I don't know if I want this. I think the bosses look better. I think the asymmetric locations of your planet that you're defending, giving them powers to defend things off, look better. I think the market of how they've changed the market is better. And yet I can't find myself pulling the trigger. And I actually don't mind the aesthetic, which is weirdly enough something I really wasn't a huge fan of with the first crowdfunding time around. But the second thing that really irks me with all of these is every single freaking time they're all freaking standalone. And I know you do that for a retail side of things, but as a repeated customer, backer, supporter, it just grinds my gears sometimes. And so, is it a great deal? Yeah, I think this would be a great entry point into it. I think this would be a great entry point if you are interested in Aeon's End and not wanting to get into Aeon's End and not knowing where to go because there's 37 different products of that. But for some reason, it just isn't that appealing. I think $55 is a great price point. They're getting a little bit of exclusive, a little bit of combination promo pack that, you know, is not insignificant because they basically turn them into mini expansions, which is good. And I like this system. I like the extra mechanics that they're adding here, because that's the other thing that I'm seeing with Aeon's End now. It's just getting power creep, complexity over abundance. And it's kind of off-putting too when I read their last rulebook. And so just getting back to square one, sort of like Sentinels of the Multiverse did, it should be doing better. And again, I compare it to even Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition, which actually killed it when it came around last time. And so why isn't this doing the same as basically a 3.0 edition of Aeon's End? I don't know, but I'm wondering if it's the same reason and the same feeling that I have that other people have as well. So take that for what you will. Cities of Venus. This is a nice sleeper hit of simultaneous action selection of trying to get resources on Venus as you're trying to colonize it when not knowing when Earth is going to drop their last shipments to you. I like what it's doing mechanically. I just don't know how it's going to translate up at retail. Tin Robot, I don't know what their retail policy is. And the question is, a 2 to 4 player edition, though, is going to cost you a huge penny. And that's because of the production values again. You know, we haven't even gotten to Cysmic, which I'll cover next. But this is an expensive game. And this is the way that things are going on these Euro-style mechanisms, especially when you're starting to throw in things like this. So do I think the mechanics look solid? 100%. Am I convinced that this is going to be the best value or the best place to get it on crowdfunding? I have no idea. I have no idea, because these mechanics are slightly different. I think there are different things that are going on mechanically with this game than other ones. But Can I endorse it wholeheartedly? I don't know. This is one that I would love to see try before I buy style of game. So for me right now, if I ever end up with a try before I buy, well, I mean, that's going to be a pass. And so you have to love it, but some people like it. I mean, you don't get $60,000 by, you know, putting out a better product either. So take that for what you will. Okay, I lied. Pioneer Rails is up next. Flippin' Right, $50,000. Flippin' rights that you can print and play, flippin' rights or rolling rights that you can get a physical copy of. Choose your poison, right? You're going to get a little better deal. If you pay $30, you get the little mini expansion. It's like a combination of poker and route building with some trains, with a little bit of the Voyages, Merchants of the Guild of Merchant Explorers combination. So if you want a pay-to-play ratio, these are going to be your best fit on crowdfunding, period. And Dronda has put out a couple other relatively solid games. And with this style of things, if this is your ilk, again, coming from Voyages, I just mentioned it right there. I keep forgetting it's by one of the same designers. It's just cool. Using a poker style mechanism that you're going to basically cross stuff off on the board. And so this is one that I'm going to go right down to the wire with. And it's mainly because I almost wish they hadn't put a base game printed level, because if this was just a print and play, I'd probably just get it. I'd probably just get it and, you know, laminate it myself and call it good. But you give me this and it's tempting. But, you know, again, if I'm getting FOMO'd, I might just pick it up later. So I kind of wish more flipping rights or rolling rights got rid of the pads and made them dry erase, though. I'll say that. I wish that if you're going to put out a physical product, make them dry erase, period. Please. But some stretch goals here, mostly deluxeifications, an extra map, though, although I'm not sure this is necessarily exclusive. So take that for what you will. You're getting some bonus stuff. So all in all, I think it's a good deal either way. So take that to the bank. Cysmic, I mean, this funded. It's got a bunch of days to go. It's got 500 people. And as much as this is getting hype, as much as I think this looks like a really cool concept, the cool concept with the over deluxeification, you know how I feel about that. It's very few and very far between, you know. When you can make this a third of the price for, you know, less vision of the creator, I kind of have to err on that side of things. And 30 minutes per player seems like, with this amount of stuff, everyone was saying how easy this is to learn and how the rulebook is very straightforward. I don't know, like that's a tough pill for me to swallow. It's like a 27-page rulebook that says once you read it through and start playing, you won't need it. And I'm okay with that, but this is a lot to put down. This is a lot to put down from a first-time designer, first-time production, and this is a lot to put down for a 4-player game of $180. I just look at that and I go, similar games nowadays, what can I get for that price point? And I say that with this. I say that with Chip Theory's Elder Scrolls, because that seems to be the way of pricing going. And I'm only going to buy these few and far between, when I just literally told you about Dronda Games' print and play that I can play 10 times or for 10 copies of instead of this, essentially, almost. You know? One of these times I'm going to do that. One of these times I'm going to go in on one of those print and plays for like a retailer purchase level. I get some company to back me and allow me to do that and get like 10 of them and just give them all away. Anyway, I don't know. I just say pass on this one. There's too many unknowns. There's too many unknowns of if this style of game is going to work for you. It's heavily chaotic. It's heavily take that. And its main feature at this point is size matters. And that makes me, again, not going to think that the gameplay is anything but stellar, but it's going to put a caution to the wind for me as someone who's been burned in the past. Burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, you know, then it's on me. So we'll see where it goes. This is one I'd love to revisit in like 2 years and see what people think of it when it comes to fruition. So take that for what you will. Look, we'll hop over to Gamefound. Guards of Atlantis II, tabletop MOBA. It's never leaving my collection. It's an awesome game. Has 16 days left. Absolutely fantastic. Nothing else out there like it. I don't recommend it for wide mass appeal. I just don't, because you realistically need a good 4-player consistent base to play this. And you can play it two-handed, although it's heavily not recommended. I'd play it two-player. I mean, that's okay. But for the price point, the increase, as well as the character packs, in addition to get all of it, again, you're talking not insignificant funds. And so, I mean, again, let's pull this up here. For all of it, it's going to cost you $275 at this point. That's insane. That's insane. This better be a lifestyle game for you if you're going to pay that much for it. You also have to expect that unless you have a group that you know is going to really love this game, it's not going to hit the table that much. And can you afford to get something that's not going to hit the table that much? If you can, awesome. If you can't, pass on this. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I'll flat out say this is not going to be for everybody. This is going to be hard to get to the table for you. I'm getting this, so be it. I love it, and I'm not paying the huge price. The only confounding factor in all of this is they won't go to retail. So if you want to pick it up, it's going to be picked up in the secondary market. But that's why I'd say if you have any inkling at all in this, don't get any of the character packs. The base game will be enough alone for you, and it'll be $75, which is a much more swallowable pill. So if you're looking at anything, I suggest that. If not, just pass on it altogether. Just pass on it, as weird as that sounds. Endeavor, I just finished filming my review of that tonight. Again, this is probably going to be one of the most solid games of 2024. I'd like a little bit more crew depth. I'd like a little bit more tiles in terms of the actual sea exploration. Just a couple more to give a little bit more variety. I have a little bit of slight concern about the scenarios. Are they going to be different enough, especially in terms of the goals or the victory point objectives, each one? Apart from that, the mechanics are just fantastic. The use of the workers on your players, as well as marking on the boards, really makes the dynamic really, really tense, but not analysis paralysis inducing. I have no qualms about saying this is going to be on a lot of people's top 10 lists of 2024 after it gets more widely available. Is it as good cooperatively and solo-y? I don't know. Solo-y, I went there. I would still say competitive. It's going to be a great game, though. The only question is, well, do you need the deluxified version of it? Do you? No. But it's going to cost you $10 more, including shipping. So that's the only question of whether or not you get it from that aspect of things. And if you can deal without getting this, you just wait and you pick it up at retail. That's okay too. This is a one that if you're not sold on these deluxifications as the ones you really, really want, and they do have some new crews here as well as some new tiles, that's really what it needs. And so the fact that they're including those and the fact that they are not necessarily exclusive at all means, all of my concerns have been addressed. So the only question is how much cheaper is it going to be at retail? Probably not a ton, $59. With the shipping, yeah, you might save 10, 15 bucks total. Is it worth 10, 15 bucks to you or not? But absolutely solid, fantastic game. So is it right for you though? There you go. Many opinions, short amount of time. Interesting games. I mean, solid games every single time. But you can't buy everything. Well, you can, but you'll have shelves worse than mine. So you can't see the floor right now either in this room. That's the other benefit of this camera being set up the way it is. I got nothing else. Threw my lat out the other day, working out. It was painful. Still sore. Had to take a couple days off because of that. Irritating. Sucks getting older. Wasn't even something difficult. That's the worst part. I got nothing else. My eardrum is still perforated, so loud sounds are killing me as well right now. So stay classy. Have a great freaking day. Hey, buddy. I won't want you in here. Come on, buddy. Let's get out. Come here. You want to say hi to the camera? You want to say hi to the camera? Say hi. This is Loki. He is a nice boy, but he's very shy and he doesn't like to be held. He's a Siamese. He's a flame point. Can you say hi, buddy? No. Can you squeak? Can you speak? Can you speak? No. Okay, buddy. Okay, let's go.